we have now reached 3 of the 5 licenses that we can get in this game. And now that we have done 48 of our 80 official tests, well, 85 if you account for the coffee breaks as well, I think now is a good time for me to actually get on with some racing. Because I feel like at this stage, don't really need to transfer that. However, I will transfer 100,000 credits into my profile. Am I gonna get it? And yes, I do get it. Alrighty. And nothing inserted in slot 2, don't really care about that. But anyway, yeah. So we've got 3 of our licenses, and we now have 9 cars in our garage now up to this point. So I think up to this point, let's actually get on with some racing now. Because, well, I've already spent at least 5 hours of playtime going through the license center, and, well, I think I'm ready for a break from that. Just for a little while, whilst I get through some race events. And so, we are going to do that by starting off with the beginner events. Beginner races are currently being held after you buy your first car, or win your first car in my case. Enter here and aim to beat the rival cars. I will, yo. So here we are. Time now for the beginner series to get underway, as we have got the Sunday Cup, the FF Challenge, the FR Challenge, 4-wheel drive, MR, lightweight, K-Car Cup, along with Spider and Roadster, and we end this off with the pickup truck race. Well, we all have to start somewhere, so as ever with these GT games, we always begin with the Sunday Cup. And there are no real restrictions, we can enter any car we want, as long as we have normal or sports tyres. And these are the places we're heading to. So we've got Autumn Ring Mini, Driving Park, Beginner Course, High Speed Ring, Clubman, Stage Route 5, which is the miniature circuit to Special Stage Route 5, and last but not least, the Twin Ring Motegi Short Track. And we will start off with Autumn Ring Mini, and since this will only be 600 credits if we win, I might as well check one more thing just before we officially get underway, because I just want to be absolutely sure of this. But anyway, here's our competition. So we've got a Fiat Barchetta along with a Fiat Punto. We also have a Peugeot 106 along with a Toyota BB 1.5 and a BMW 1 Series as our competition here. However, before we get on with the race, there is just something I need to check. And yep, okay, it is turned off. I'm only checking this so YouTube does not have to get this fucking episode partially blocked for copyright claims, since that's precisely what happened with my intro and why some of you are unable to view it. But anyway, so let's head over to the driving aids and we will turn those off because we don't need them. And also traction control, gotta turn that off as well because I don't need any of it. And everything else is pretty standard here, don't need to change anything else here. I'd say we're okay. And the tyres we start off with are Sports Medium. Okay, let's actually get on with the racing now, because I want to make actual progress in this game. Alright, let's go. Let's begin with Autumn Ring Mini. And yes, the game has just loaded, and for our first race, we will get 92 points if we win. And well, considering my competition is probably not going to be outputting much more than about probably a 110 horsepower, I think we should be okay here, from what I can see. I should be able to work my way through the field with relative ease, from what I know. I don't think this is going to be too hard to work my way through because, well, rubber banding is not very strong in this game once you manage to take the lead for a lot of these races. So, I think once we take the lead, it should more or less be smooth sailing, from what I know, as I'm forcing my way through past the Peugeot, and now closing in on the Fiat Barchetta up ahead of me, going up the inside, making a little bit of contact there, as he was trying to shut the door on me, but I was already on the inside. And just like that, in my yellow Volkswagen Lupo, I am already in the lead. And now, all I have to do is just hold on to the lead. So these races, altogether, they are going to be relatively short to begin with. Probably 2, maybe 3 laps at best for most of these tracks that we do here in the beginner series. And then, as we go further and further along, the races will get longer in terms of distance. And already, I am likely not going to be beaten. And there we go. I win, as I would have expected, by 3.1 seconds over the Fiat Barchetta. The Peugeot finishes 3rd, then we had the Fiat Punto 4th, the BMW 5th, and the Toyota BB finishing 6th and last. I kind of knew that was going to be an easy win, so I just got it over, done with, and out of the way, basically. And 600 credits for winning. Also, if you want to speed up the credits won process, you can basically just, well, press X, and then it'll basically speed up the credits won process, as I said before. You know what, yeah, I will save my replay here, just because, well, it's at least a start. As I am saving this as EP4. I have also not recorded any replays yet. However, I will make sure to do so once I have been successful enough to find the time. I'll probably do a few episodes today, and then I think after that we'll just figure out what to do from there, I guess. But either way, there we go. 1 race down, 4 races to go, as we are now heading to beginner course for race number 2, and where this time we are doing 4 laps, because, well, this course, to put it simply, is basically a short track in terms of its length and size. But I don't think this is going to be too difficult. And our competition this time is a Toyota Yaris with a Citroen C3, a Peugeot 206, and we have the same 2 Fiats that we saw in the previous race. Don't really need to change anything. Let's actually get going. And this time, if we win, we will get 96 points. So that means our competition is a little bit more powerful, but I don't think I'll have too much problems. I don't think I'll have too many problems in terms of working my way through the field, because it was relatively easy last time. I reckon it'll probably be relatively easy again, because, well, obviously this is the beginner series, and I went off on the grass. I don't do this on purpose. It is an accident, if you're asking. And the Citroen is blocking me just a little bit. But I managed to outduel him on the straight, slotting myself through, and all I have left is the Toyota Yaris, which is also known as the Toyota Vitz, if you live in America. And as I was up the inside, Mr. Yaris was trying to throw a block on me, but he had no chance because I was already up his inside, and I was basically committed to the corner anyway. There was probably no way he was going to outduel me once we got into the corner, so he basically just let me go. Which in all honesty is what I would have expected. But either way, I am once again leading, which is precisely what I want. And setting a new best lap time of a 30.6, heading into turn 1 at about 76 miles an hour. So we're not going particularly fast here, we're just more or less chipping away the laps as well as our opponents, because, well, rubber banding is not very strong with a lot of races in this game, but nonetheless, that makes it 2 in a row. As I finish this race in dead on 2 minutes and 7 seconds, and I win by nearly 6 seconds over the Toyota, and the two Fiats just made it to the finish. So that's now 2 races down, and we still have another 3 to go. So, another 600 credits in our bank, and those are your results, as it was the 2 Fiats who finished at the back of the grid. Also nice to know that we actually get 3 different brands from 3 different countries on the podium. Technically, Germany, Japan, and France is what we get. And now we move on to High Speed Ring for race number 3. I think this race is probably going to be the longest of the bunch, because, well, High Speed Ring, out of these 5 courses, it's clearly the longest, if you're wanting my opinion. And we've got a bit more competition here this time, because we have a VW Polo, along with a Peugeot 206, a Mazda MX-5, a Mini Cooper, and an Alfa Romeo 147 Twin Spark. This is going to be more interesting. But let's see how we go. I think this means our win streak will probably end at 2, but I am prepared to fight. And as I would have expected, a little wheel spin off the start, but I think since my car is pretty good through the corners, I might be able to mount a challenge. Or if I don't, then, well, I'll just have to go along with wherever the hell it is I finish. Although if I was really wanting to make this easy, I probably would have chosen the Mazda Kusabi, but personally, I just want to challenge myself, and that's why I'm trying to see if this thing will win, in spite of its power deficit. Sometimes it can be a good thing to take a risk. And what do you know, it's the Polo that drops basically from the front of the grid, pretty much to the back of the grid. Okay, I gotta get a pass done here. That was a little bit dirty, but either way, I still pull off the pass, even though it was not under the way I would have wanted it to be done. But nonetheless, I do have the superior cornering speed, and that's where I think my car will be good. As we are actually getting a taste of how it feels to go above 100. And immediately, my cornering speed is a lot better than that of the AI. Probably because I'm not feeling any effects from the active stability management. And I'm not feeling any effects of oversteer or understeer. And I am leading. Although it really does make me wonder how long it's going to be before someone passes me on speed. Because I can see that Peugeot is coming. And I am going to go to the inside to see if I can block him off. As I just hit, I think my top speed in that corner was 111. 112, 113, 114 winds up being my top speed that I will probably set in the Lupo. And up to this point, I've already driven 7 miles in this car. But, as I would have expected, my cornering speed is reigning supreme, and it is fair to say that I definitely have the best car here, as it is now the Mazda MX-5 that takes over second, and I don't think is going to catch me, because, as I said before, rubber banding with a lot of these races, it's not particularly strong. So, I think this is more or less going to be an easy win for me, from what I can see. Of course, I don't exactly expect my racing side of the game to start off with thrillers. But it doesn't matter because I have scored the 104. And the Peugeot wound up finishing third in the end, ahead of the Alpha 147. The Mini finished 5th, and it was the Polo who wound up starting first, but then ended up finishing last. I can definitely say that is a complete role reversal of what happened in that race. Basically, Volkswagen in that race finished first and last. I should also mention, I am technically the owner of a VW Polo, so under the circumstances, I do know how it feels to be the owner of a VW, because that's technically what I have. Even though my VW Polo is not from 2001, it's from 2009. But anyway, 3 races down, 2 races to go, as our second to last race takes place at Clubman Stage Route 5. Also the short circuit of Special Stage Route 5. And this time, in terms of our competition, we once again have another Fiat Barchetta. I think that car has now competed in 3 of the 5 races. We also have a Mazda 2, a BMW 1 Series, and an Eagle Talon, along with a Honda Jazz, in terms of our competition here, because that's what I have to do. Yeah, he was clearly faster than me. That was clearly a battle I was not going to win. Oh well, let's try again. And if I do wind up struggling with that power deficit, then I'll just have to put on an upgrade. Well, I still get 500, so yeah, let's try again. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear to say now that I think the Eagle up front is clearly a faster car from what I can see. And, well, in the end, he basically just pulled away from me. So, my win streak ends at 3, but I don't think it really matters because I'm still getting more money. And plus it will also give me a greater chance of installing upgrades. Although to be fair, I did make my fair share of mistakes in that previous race that ultimately costed me, but nonetheless, I don't think I would have been able to pull it off because, well, the Eagle was 3 seconds cleared from me by the time we got to the checkered flag, so the odds of me winning would have been slim ones. But this time, I'm a bit closer now than I was before, because I am actually a bit more forceful now, compared to before. I'm still winning money, so in all honesty, I'm not too bothered about the L I had before, because I am now up into 2nd position, and it looks like this is going to be an interesting one. So I'm only a second back now. I know that the Eagle Talon technically is a more powerful car. He's probably got to have at least 140 horsepower, but I am at least behind him in my 100 horsepowered VW Lupo. Maybe if it's possible I might be able to gain an advantage on him, if I can get close enough and not hit the walls between now and the corner. Oh, yep, I got loose. We are battling. Can I clear him? Oh, yep. I think he might be the faster car here. I almost had him up the inside, but he forced his way by me on the outside. Oh, I think he's slowing up. Oh, come on, come on. Okay, I'm in front. Can I stay up front this time? Yes, I can. Just. I just managed to stay up front by less than 4/10. So the Fiat finished 3rd, then we had the Honda Jazz in 4th, BMW 5th, and it was the Mazda who finished in 6th. And I think my disc has just stopped loading. Okay, hold on a second. Yeah, I had a feeling something like that might happen eventually. I was kind of just waiting to see how long it was before my old disc inevitably decided to fail. And I think that's pretty much what happened. Anyway, 2nd time's the charm at Clubman Stage Route 5. And I can definitely say this race was definitely a thriller, if you can call it that. Because I just barely beat out the Eagle Talon that was ahead of me. So the Fiat finished in 3rd, the Honda Jazz came home 4th, then we had the BMW 120i in 4th, and then we had the Mazda 2 finishing 6th and last. Yeah, basically my original disc more or less failed, but since I figured something like this was going to happen, I did buy myself a spare disc just in case if something like this occurred. Anyway, time now for the 5th and final race of the Sunday Cup, which takes place at Twin Ring Motegi. And I gotta say, my disc deciding to go kaput, my original disc deciding to go kaput because it had so many scratches on it, it was always going to happen. Anyway, so here's our competition. So we've got a Fiat Punto, an Alfa Romeo 147, along with a Toyota BB, a Renault Megane, and a Honda CRX as our competition for the final race of the Sunday Cup, which takes place on the west course of Twin Ring Motegi, and where this course is also ironically inside the Super Speedway, which unfortunately is not being used anymore following the events of the 2011 tsunami. The oval course, from what I know, has pretty much been decommissioned, and they don't really use it for race events anymore. They still use the road course, obviously, because, well, the MotoGP races here, but the Super Speedway course is one that they don't really use anymore because of the tsunami that basically destroyed and put the oval course into disrepair. Which, as ironic as it might be, was built in the late 90s, following I think it was the popularity of NASCAR in Japan at the time, which technically did, and Mr. Renault tries to go for a dive on the inside, but I do the old switcheroo, and just like that, I have now cleared him. And I think it's fair to say, this race, a lot like the previous race, this is probably going to be a nail-biter over whether or not I'll be able to clinch this one. A lot like it was at Clubman Stage Route 5. As I'm closing in on the Fiat Punto ahead, I don't think he's really got the speed, but as ever, I will make sure to give him as much racing room as possible. Because I do make mistakes, but what I also want to prove is I can race my competition cleanly. And I am running wide. But that's okay, because I have the advantage. Even though he is closing in on me, I'm going to give him as much racing room as possible. He's going to try and do the switchback on me, but he's not brave enough to go for the dive. I cover him off, and it looks like I'm going to win 4 out of the first 5 races on my first try with the VW Lupo. So, 5 wins out of 6. And victory in the end by 3.5 seconds over the Fiat. The Renault finishes 3rd, Alfa Romeo 4th, then the CRX finishes 5th, and the Toyota BB does not even get to the flag. Oh well. Anyway, another 600 credits, adding on to the 2,900 I already have. So that would technically make this a total of 3,500 credits won, if you account for my runner-up finish at Clubman Stage Route 5. Or CSR 5, I should say. Clubman Stage Route 5, if you're asking. But anyway, prize car time, and what do we get? We get an Auto Bianchi A112. Abarth. I'm pretty sure this thing is yellow as well. I almost wonder if this game might have actually heard me singing a Coldplay song, and that's partly the reason why a lot of the prize cars I'm getting at the moment are fucking yellow. I almost wonder if that might be the case. Because I was singing the Coldplay song Yellow at one point. And we open up the game with 485 points. And is this thing yellow? Oh, it's beige. Kinda looked yellow, but I'm okay with beige. So here it is, the Auto Bianchi A112 Abarth from 1979. Our first of many prize cars to come from these race events. And now that we are done with this, it's time for me to move on to my next car, because we are going to be facing some more powerful competition here. As this time, we are using the Pontiac Sunfire for our next event. And now, I must save the game. So, had to change from one game disc over to my spare game disc, but we did get it done. And we are now 0.8% complete with the game. 99.2% to go. Oh boy. Anyway. Next up, FF Challenge.